What's up, you guys? This is Jay Go2 back with another video, and in this video today I'm going to be discussing James Harden. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content. Let's get into it. This year for the Brooklyn Nets, James Harden has definitely shown just how amazing of an offensive player he is. I mean, let's be honest, when he was on the Rockets with CP3, people were saying the same thing about how they were going to have to share the ball and things like this, but Harden easily made the right adjustments for CP3 to come in and still play his game at a very high level. And this year on the Brooklyn Nets with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, it's been the exact same thing. Even though James Harden is primarily the third scoring option on this team, when you truly need him to get buckets, he can. And this year already for them, Harden has been playing at a very high level, leading the league already in assists, just showing how gifted of an offensive player he truly is. He's averaging 25.3 points a game, which is very below average for him compared to, of course, when he was on the Rockets. But when you have a big three, obviously your numbers will drop. He's shooting 49% from the field, which is one of the most efficient percentages for his entire NBA career. He's averaging almost 9 rebounds a game, and he's averaging, as I said before, over 11 assists, making him the league leader in assists this year. And honestly, James Harden, we have to give him a lot more credit as well, because this guy's one of the most durable players in NBA, probably of all time as well, too, with LeBron. You can almost put him in that category because he's played mostly over 70-plus games a season since he was acquired on the Houston Rockets. And for this Brooklyn Nets team right now, with Kevin Durant being out and Kyrie somewhat having health issues as well, they've definitely had to rely on James Harden to really lead this team during this stretch. And he's proven that he's more than capable of still being that guy. That's what makes this team really dangerous, is because, there may be nights where Kyrie's not shooting that well from the field, and Kevin Durant might not be having the best game either, but you still have an elite offensive player in James Harden. And I'm really just going to make the case that James Harden, since Michael Jordan, I believe that he is the greatest scorer of all time, in my opinion. I think he's up there with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, all these guys. You have to even give LeBron credit, too, for his offensive capabilities, despite him being mostly well known as like a playmaker type of player. But just off of offensive ability and just his versatility on the offensive end of the basketball court, James Harden, in my opinion, is just a league on his own. I feel like, you can put him in any situation and he can always just adapt to it. And that's what he's been able to do this year for this Brooklyn Nets team. And that's why he's definitely, in my opinion, in that contention for possibly winning MVP. In my opinion, I believe that James Harden, you can even make an argument that he's the best player on this team. Of course, we all know that Kevin Durant is one of the greatest players on the planet Earth. But you got to give credit where credit is due, and James Harden is just as good, in my opinion. And this proves it. At the beginning of the year, obviously, they might hold against him for what he did for the Rockets and not really, committing himself to the team that much and gaining all this weight, looking like Fat Albert. He's made a whole 360, but, looking at his time for the Rockets, the man pretty much last season had to do everything for that team. This team now that he's on, it's almost like a big relief for him. Even though he averaged over 30 points per game for 3 straight seasons for the Rockets, that's still a lot on one player. But looking at the role for James Harden on this big three, this guy is their point guard. He's the guy who can facilitate the offense and get buckets when you need him to get them. And the Nets right now are one of the hottest teams in the NBA, winning 9 of their last 10 games as well. But when you add the talents of Kyrie Irving, who is just a pure scorer, in my opinion, the guy, he can facilitate at times. But, this season he's having one of the best seasons of his entire NBA career. And you add Kevin Durant, who's just an offensive demigod, and you add his defensive capabilities as well. This team is going to be hard to beat in the playoffs when that time comes. They've already jumped to the 2nd seed already in the Eastern Conference. And, they're starting to find that chemistry. They're starting to really click all together. And, I'm not really surprised that they've been able to click this fast. It's just because I think mostly of James Harden. Because James Harden, he's been the guy who had to sacrifice the most, but it's not really like he sacrificed a whole lot. Mostly what he did is, as I said before, is just turn more into a playmaker for this team, and that's what they need. They can't have 3 guys who are ball dominant on this team. But despite that, James Harden still, in my opinion, is the best and most important player on this team. And we can't obviously forget the other night he made history by becoming one of the first players to have 30 points, 15 assists, 10 rebounds, and 0 turnovers. That is absolutely insane in my opinion. I think that's more impressive than going 15 for 15 from the field. You know, you have a perfect game, but having 0 turnovers, you know, you don't hear people do that. I mean, I'm pretty sure, of course, throughout NBA history, there's been guys who've had 0 turnovers in games. I mean, the bench warmers. But when you look at a guy like James Harden, a guy who, you know, mostly, you know, he does ball dominate at times, it's hard for guys like that to not get any turnovers in the game. And for him to do that, that's unheard of. But, you know, it's actually really good to see James Harden now in a winning situation. You know, in my opinion, personally, I never really believed that in order to win the championship, James Harden could be your best player on the team. You know, he had his opportunity to prove that, and he failed. Let's be honest. But now that he's on a big 3 with a guy who's even better than him and Kevin Durant, James Harden's role does go down, but he's still, as I said before, a very important piece for this team winning an NBA championship. And during this time in the playoffs, he's going to have to really step up his game even more. He's had countless battles against the Golden State Warriors, and in 2017, that was their closest season to possibly making it to the NBA Finals, and they could have won. But now in the situation with the Nets, it seems like James Harden can actually have his name written in NBA history as an NBA champion. He won't go down in NBA history as one of the best players of all time to never win a championship. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video. Don't forget to hit a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content. Have a good day. Peace.